So in this video I will just go quickly over the half kneeling hip extension mobilization, or a little bit of the stretch. What the hip extension means is basically just the ability to bring your hip a little bit behind you, which is quite important motion with, let's say, when somebody's running or even during the walking, any kind of bending backwards. So how we're going to start is, this is basically position which is called half kneeling. So one leg is step forward, there's almost like 90 degrees over here, and this leg is just straight down. The foot position over here just doesn't really matter. Then to get stretch, what we are going to be doing is stretching the hip of the knee which is on the ground, so in this case my left hip. The best cue what I found to get that hip stretch is, imagine, or I have a buckle over here and you are trying to, let's say there is something written and you are trying to read the buckle, so just bring the belt up. Because not everybody knows like that, how to tilt the pelvis. So tilting the belt buckle up usually gets the job done, and you can start to feel like a nice stretch over here in the hip flexor. Then the next little bit TNS inspired thing is just focus on taking a few breaths into your tummy, and so just keeping the belt buckle up, kind of breathing into the tummy. Then the next thing when you want to progress a little bit is, while keeping this up, you're just going to be pushing this knee forward. So again, you're going to just feel nice. Those tissues need to open up a little bit. Again, like if you start to have a little bit of sharp pain there, you might need a little bit of lowering the sensitivity of the tissue, maybe a little bit of foam rolling, soft tissue work, any kind of massage will work quite nicely. Then the next progression, so over here we are basically making that hip lengthen. Next progression, what I like to do is just bring the arms or hands a little bit on the chest, and you are almost like extending a little bit backwards. So you are extending in your thoracic spine, which is your upper back, while extending the hip. And then the last progression in this is just reaching over here. You should be feeling a lovely stretch in your hip over in the front, maybe a little bit on the side. Everybody's a little bit different, and you must feel absolutely no bind or catch on your back side in your lower back. So again, just over here, it should look like a C shape, where top of the C shape, that C is kind of over here on the hip. And then, of course, this, even when somebody is able to do it in half kneeling, doesn't mean they are going to be able to do it in the standing. So it's a good idea to progress into standing position. Then some reaches, lunges, and maybe even like single leg balance when we are going to be reaching backwards, letting the hips go forward, then on one leg for a little bit of balance, for a little bit of extra, let's say, a running like experience. So again, why the hip extension is very important is, when we're running, the hip has to go behind us during the stride, because the rest of the body goes forward. If it doesn't happen, oftentimes we see cases when people are basically overstriding, so they are trying to get the stride longer, but that stride length should happen behind us, not in front of us. And oftentimes people just complain about the low back pain, because instead of extending in the hip, your body is going to compensate somewhere above the chain, so more than likely it's going to extend a little bit on the lower back. You might get a little bit of SI joint jamming, or the typical kind of facet joint irritation. But that's a little bit, maybe too much information. Okay guys, hopefully this was helpful. So again, just half kneeling hip flexor mobilization with a few different progressions for the running and just for the life.